I want to just tell every business owner that's out there, like, we all have it. We all deal with it. You're not alone. You're not the only one. Let's just get it out into the open, shine a light on whatever it is so that we can create a solution for it to move forward. Trust is the entire thing. When we're in the books of these clients, trust is a big factor.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Be the Connection podcast, where we dive into stories of community, mentorship, and success. My mission is to bring you inspiring conversations, real insights, and the kind of value that helps you grow. So grab a seat, settle in, and let's get connected. Welcome back. Today we have a truly special guest, Katie Fleming, joining us from McKinney, Texas. It's still down the road for us. Katie is the founder of Armour Bookkeeping, and she helps real estate investors get their finances in order. But more than that, she is someone who understands the journey of building a dream. With years of experience as an accountant, business helper, and coach, she has a rich story of guiding people. She's even hosted her own popular podcast, Ambitious Mom, with over 200 episodes. I'm going to get there. I will get there. And a business helper. And today we're going to go hear about her path, the lessons she's learned, and how she believes clear financial understanding can truly change lives. Katie, it's wonderful to have you. Let's get connected. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me and creating this space for us to connect here, but also for your audience to connect with us as well.
So Katie, before you started Armour Bookkeeping, you wore many hats: accountant, business consultant, leadership coach. Can you share a bit about your journey and what first sparked your interest in helping others?
Yeah, it is. The journey is wildly, like, it's all over the place, right? It can seem like that, but also from my perspective, it's pretty full circle the way it's all kind of come together. So I'll take you back to the beginning. When I was going into college, my husband and I were then dating. But right out of college, I got graduated with a degree in accounting. Honestly, the reason was because I liked numbers, I liked formulas, and I also could see the biggest potential there to create a life that was able to be blended with my kids and also work. So I went into real estate, was the financial operations director for a top real estate brokerage in Georgia, went into from there business coaching and consulting, have been doing that for the last 10 years. And this is kind of where I'm going to full circle bring it around. We joined SubTo with Pace Morby in August of 2022. That opens you up immediately to a whole world of options and ideas and relationships. And it is quite the rocket ship as far as growth goes. And so fast forward a few months, March 2023, we made our first acquisition in the pet and grooming and boarding industry. And that's what we do today. Like, my husband and I we're the management that kind of oversees it. We do some high level stuff. We touch the finances, but for the most part, we're coaching our manager who's in place running the day to day. I wanted to acquire an accounting firm. Obviously, as you know, like, when we're in real estate, we have all these different ventures, and before you know it, like, your accounting levels that you have is just, it's a lot. So I told my husband, I'm like, this just makes sense with my background. Why are we not doing it ourselves? Let's just go start the LLC. And then before you knew it, Armour Bookkeeping really took off. It exploded quite quickly. And at this point, sure, I'll look for an acquisition if it makes sense. But honestly, I mean, the stickiness of accounting, like, it's so relationship based that I prefer to just build it with the clientele that I love and know and can really truly help in a way, and not just inherit a client list that might not be ideal for me.
So you've seen businesses from so many angles. What's one big lesson about people or about success that you learned from your time as a consultant coach that still guides you today as you work with real estate investors?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is business. We think we're alone in the troubles that we're going through, but, like, everybody is dealing with it in their own way. I mean, I see it a lot with bookkeeping and stuff. Like, it can spiral into shame very quickly, and some of the things that we deal with as business owners. And I want to just tell every business owner that's out there, like, we all have it. We all deal with it. You're not alone. You're not the only one. It's okay. Let's just get it out into the open, shine a light on whatever it is so that we can create a solution for it to move forward.
Love it. Can you share a story about an early client, maybe a real estate investor just struggling or unsure, and how you were able to help them find clarity and confidence?
Yeah, for sure. So I've got this one client. He's in the DFW area. He has a huge security company. He was just kind of like happenstance ended up having a successful company. So like everything's kind of piecemeal together from like his finances. It's out of control. He doesn't know who he's paying or what he's paying or how much he's paying or even what how profitable he is. And so for him, we were able to come in and just like really simplify the whole thing, bring in some partners through like payroll and stuff to streamline payroll. Because when you're running a company in the multi-millions and you've got hundreds of contractors, like that stuff gets out of control fast. And so, from an accounting perspective, a bookkeeping perspective, if you looked on your bank statements, his bank statements went from like 10 plus pages long of like probably two or 300 transactions every single week for payroll down to four when we did. So, I mean, that significantly cuts down your accounting costs because I like to say like bookkeeping is a game of clicks. Really, at the end of the day, it's just clicking. You have to have the knowledge and know how and where to click or what to click. But for the most part, it's just clicking. And so if we could take his clicks from like hundreds a week to four, it was huge. And then he's also able to more clearly see his cash flow and stuff like that.
So how do you build trust with your clients and create a supportive space for them, especially if they're new to managing, complex investments?
Yeah. I mean, trust is the entire thing. Like when we're in the books of these clients and really getting behind the scenes and seeing some of the most intimate details of their lives, trust is a big factor. And one of the ways I do that right out the gate is through really strong communication and systems. So my systems and build trust. So like from the moment a client or a potential client fills out my quote request form, they know exactly what the next step is. They're getting that email that says, "Hey, thanks for your quote request. We're reviewing it. It's going to be, 24 to 48 hours. You're going to hear back from us and you're going to get a chance to schedule a call if we're a good fit." And I also tell you if we're not a good fit. Because that's one of the things that's my pet peeve. If I'm really truly not the best person for you for whatever reason, like maybe you have a manufacturing company with tons and tons of SKUs and inventory and whatnot, I'm not the girl for that. That's not my firm. But if you're a real estate investor with short-term rental and you do Airbnbs and you use, whatever software to turn over your Airbnbs, I'm the person for that. I can speak that language. I can speak SubTo. I had a call a couple weeks ago with a potential client that came from a different community I'm in. And I said, "Who owns the property?" And he's like, "Well, there's an issue of title and then there's an issue of deed." And I was like, "Yeah, I got you." Yeah, I speak creative finance. He's like, "Oh, you do?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so it's just so nice when like you don't have to explain to your accountant what gator lending is. They understand or what kind of cool lending you might be doing or what you're running through an SDI or whatever.
So you've hosted the Ambitious Mom podcast for a long time. That's a big commitment. 7 years. Did building that community and sharing stories there teach you anything about connecting with people that you now use in your business or when you mentor others?
One of the things in building that community was people, like there's such power in being a connector. And one of the things I did not do super well early on was figuring out ways to insert myself in the connection. So it's actually something that I really loved and I got out of Pace's communities. He finds ways um, to like compensate everybody that's a part of the whole thing. So I used to notice, I was like, man, there's so many people in my community that are doing business with each other. I love it. But it is really cool when you create a community or in one of like-minded people, like-minded humans who care and have similar mindsets and are moving towards similar growth. People who have similar character and desire to increase the world around them as well as their home, their own world. And then also we're always up to something. Like my clients, they're always up to something. So I can always usually expect them to be starting a new venture or buying another property or looking into business acquisition. Like they're always up to something. And those are the clients I love working with because that's how I am too. Like I'm always creating LLCs. They're like it's like candy,
Yeah,
starting businesses. So
I love it. So, Katie, everyone who builds something meaningful faces challenges. It's part of the journey, right? And let's talk a little about navigating those tough times. So, in business, new ideas can pop up all the time. Was there a time you had to make a tough choice to stay focused on your main goal for, let's say, bookkeeping or even other things that looked interesting? How did you decide?
yeah. I struggle with this all the time. And for me, with my desire to be very present with my home and my kids and homeschooling and all that stuff, it's like you have to make choices. And so I need people around me. Like that's one of the biggest things I do is people around me to remind me of the thing that I already said because I can go find objects and squirrels and things to like just chase all the time. And I could probably be pretty good at it and get it done, but it would be at the expense of my my well-being, my health, my family, that kind of thing. So we've got to be more strategic about it. So I love to surround myself with those people that remind me, hey, Katie, remember you said that thing that you were going to go do that thing first and then and I'm like, oh yeah, that was the goal. So that's my number one tip is like have people around you that can kind of call you out on your stuff, but then also have those people around you that can point at like I was never planning on starting Armour, and the way that came in was super random, and it was a couple months before I had my baby, so none of it made sense to start at that time, but it was absolutely correct in the way that it started to evolve, and like I took the next step and I created the LLC, and you just do the little things, and all of a sudden it takes off, and you've got a team and you've got the things. But so yeah, people around you to call BS, and then people around you to also maybe call you to lean into it, and then you've got to, at the end of the day, discern, is this the right thing now, or is this something that I need to table until a future point?
Most people have a story about a time things were really tough and when they had their big breakthrough. Can you share a personal professional turning point that shaped you and how you
Man,
approached?
yeah, personal breakthrough. I mean, for me, it was like that. It was when I shut down my podcast. It was October of 2022. I had been podcasting for like 7 years at that point, and I was coaching. I had tons of hours. I call them butt in the seat hours, where you're like sitting in the chair coaching on Zoom with your clients. And due to the nature of like coaching in general, but just also me, and honestly, at that point, it was highly draining. I love coaching, I love consulting, like, it's a part of who I am. I still do it with my bookkeeping clients to this day, it's just kinda who I am. But it was one of those moments of, like, this isn't working anymore. Like, I built this great coaching business, love it, paid pretty well, but man, like, I'm drained. I'm giving and giving more than I should be, and at the end of the day, I own none of this. Like, I don't have any equity in these companies. So it was like a burn the house, the ship down moment. Of course, it was like I look back now and I'm like, of course, this was like months after my SubTo entrance because it's like it was a total world expander slash blow up kind of situation of like what actually needs to stay and what needs to go for us to create this next iteration of our life. I really pulled back hardcore. I stopped creating on social. I stopped podcasting, which is weird to me. I had been a content creator for so many years to where it was like kind of an identity at that point, and just to completely stop was like definitely interesting. So now a couple years later, I'm like, I have this desire to go back and create content for the pure purpose of sharing and helping others versus like before it was like I actually am more feeling this place of like overflow, and like the next time I post on social it's going to be from this place of I just feel the need to share this part of the journey with the people that are around so that I can help them, not necessarily to get a client. So that shift has been interesting, but I mean, that was a pivotal time for me because I really had the time and the space to step back and look and say, like, is this actually the life we wanted, or do we want to change some things? And so, yeah, lots of life has changed for the better in terms of my presence, in terms of my nervous system, my health, my joy. I brought a third kid into the world during that time. So, yeah.
Thinking about any big hurdles you've overcome, either in starting your businesses or in your own life, how did getting through them change you as a person or help you grow?
As entrepreneurship, when we do it, it's this we sign up for this crazy roller coaster of personal growth, and our businesses can only go and grow as big as we go and grow as the entrepreneur leading them. So, one of the biggest things was early on, it was like there would be some kind of fire, some kind of thing to put out or some kind of problem to solve, and it would derail me. Like it would take weeks to be able to like kind of recover from this fight or flight situation of like, oh my gosh, the world is crumbling, everything, whatever. But now to have, things come up and just kind of like my husband and I will laugh at it. I'll be like, huh, that's kind of funny. This thing happened. And like, we're okay. Like we move on to the next thing. We're like, yep, all right, handled that. Let's, kind of turn that thing off and go focus over here. And I don't know, your capacity just grows massively. One of the things you can start to practice as a business owner today, like right now, is realizing that not every single thing that comes into your world is an emergency. Very, very few things actually are emergencies. Like it's all okay. We can solve all the problems. We need to just be like calm and have, honestly, I tell my kids this a lot when they're fighting with each other. I'm like, if you can just create space between you and the thing that's ticking you off right now, like if we can just create some space, physical or even just space through a breath, if we can just create space in a moment through a breath, we can actually create that space to have change. I mean, Daniel Tiger, if you watch Daniel Tiger, he says the same thing, like, take a deep breath and let it go. Like, there's a whole song for it. So
Yes, I
sometimes
love
we as
it.
entrepreneurs need to remember a little bit of Daniel Tiger in those cases and just create space so that we can find change. Because the truth is, like, when energy and emotion is high, intelligence is low. And so we have a hard time figuring out the solutions when we're in this frantic, high emotional place.
So I find that in those moments of when you're not pushing to find the client and you're really just pushing to make the connection with other people, you really are finding yourself receiving more clients. Like that's kind of how it happens. You're not necessarily looking for the client, you're just wanting to make that connection and somehow they just, hey, I need you,
Mhm.
can you do this for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. It's really interesting how that works out.
Yeah, it's this difference of like farming versus hunting. Like I take
Yes.
an approach of farming. Like I'm gonna go plant seeds, I'm gonna build relationships, I'm gonna go talk to B on her podcast, I'm gonna go, to this meetup. Like, and then we're just like we're planting seeds, we're farming. And it takes a little bit longer. Like if I wanted to go out today and hunt I want to go hunt and try to find a client, that's a little bit more of that energy. Sure, I can probably come home with something, but is it going to be the best one? Is it actually like what's meant for me? Is this client going to be more draining than they are worth, like the value that they're bringing me or I'm bringing them? Or do you want to farm or do you want to hunt? And so
Yes.
it's just this like, do I want to chase versus attract? And one takes longer than the other. And there's a time and place for both. But I've found that the best clients and the best relationships come from really genuine creation of trust and relationship that takes time to be built. And so at that point, you just have to make sure you're staying in the game. Every single day, every single week, you're staying in the game. You're showing up for those seed planting moments. You're showing up to water those seeds. You're not neglecting them and letting them scorch in the Texas heat or whatever. You're showing up and tending to that. And I think it's an issue of stewardship. Like we've been given opportunities to steward, and as long as we show up for that, I believe God blesses that and multiplies that right before our eyes.
Katie, you talk about high touch service and proactive communication. For someone who doesn't know much about bookkeeping, what does that really mean for the real estate investors you work with? How does it make their lives easier or better?
A lot of my real estate investors are coming to me from high volume churn and burn type firms that just they take clients in, they maybe overpromise and underdeliver and under communicate. And so these clients maybe don't, I mean, they're busy. They're busy investors. So you're off looking for the next property, the next flip, the next thing. You don't have the time to make sure or double check on your tax accountant or even your bookkeeper to make sure things are happening. You're just trusting that they are. And then you get to the end of the year and you realize, okay, wait, they haven't been done on time. I'm owing, somebody a K1 or I need to file my taxes or whatever. And it's just like all over the place. Or
Yes.
worse, something else I've seen a lot is you don't own the accounting file. So like sure you might want to let go of your previous firm, but they're the ones that have the accounting file and they don't have a way to transfer it to you. That's a super huge red flag for me. So one of the things we do is set you up with your own accounting file that you have access to. You can see in transparently all the time. If you decide that it's not time to work with Armour anymore, it's still your file. Like you have that, it's your file. You own that. I'm super big on that. And then as far as high touch and high communication, like this is, I think, one of the biggest gaps in the market we fill is if you need something or you're like, oh my gosh, I'm starting this new venture. How should I fund the new venture? We can easily help you understand like how to do that or what would be the most simplest way to keep your accounting costs low, but also to keep your compliance and tracking and all that, handy. Because a lot of us real estate investors, we have multiple entities. And it's really important that we protect the legal structure of those entities by not commingling the funds. If we're, spending funds for A LLC out of B LLC's bank account, it can create some issues and pierce our corporate veil. And so we need to be super, super serious about how we're spending and where we're spending. And so, yeah, I think all that to say, like, we are an email away. You can always get in touch with us. Industry loves to talk about how busy they are. And I get it. You're busy, but so is everybody else. And that's not an excuse to not be able to communicate properly with your clients or execute in a timely manner. So we take that very seriously.
And you're not just an accountant, you built and own businesses yourself. So, how does that personal experience help you understand and support your clients in a way that someone else might not?
So I have a couple people that work for me, and one of them specifically came from a churn and burn type firm. And so at the end of the day, for him, as long as net income was correct, they didn't really care how they arrived at that number. And so one of the things he told me early on was like, I really love how specific you are about where and how you put these numbers into the bookkeeping software. And I said, well, yeah, like this is how I wanted to see it as a business owner, because it's not just that bottom line tax number that matters. It's the numbers that are going to be seen on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that are going to go into making my decisions. Like, am I actually profitable on that latest flip? If I don't know that, like it does no good for me to get to the end of the year and just have that net income number to file taxes. And then I get to the tax table and they're like, well, you should have bought another property this year. It would have helped with depreciation. And it's like, okay, well, I needed to have known that months ago. As a business owner, kind of know how I'd want to see my P&L to be able to make decisions, my profit and loss. And so we
Yes.
take it very specifically, like what's going to be the most valuable way to show the business owner these numbers on a monthly basis, as well as accomplish the goal at the end of the year for them to take their P&L, hand it to their tax guy, and them to know how to easily do that and put it into their software. But sometimes can be less because the tax accountant is not having to do the heavy lifting of figuring out how to wrangle the numbers to be what they need it to be. It's already presented in a really great format.
It sounds like you build real partnerships with your clients. How important is that sense of community or teamwork when it comes to navigating the ups and downs of investing?
The stability, like that's one of the things a lot of people try to get away with hiring on, like internally. They try to hire a bookkeeper internal, like a W-2 employee, or even like an hourly contractor. And this I see this is a big issue, because what it does is that employee might be here today but gone tomorrow, or they aren't even really sure. They don't have the expertise. Maybe they're a great office manager, but they're not a bookkeeper. They're not a trained accountant. So they don't really know what they're doing. This has created a lot of issues that we end up having to clean up. And so one of the things I tell my clients is, I'm an entrepreneur just like you. I'm in the business game. I'm not going anywhere. This firm's not going anywhere. So they can trust that stability, and they can trust that every single month their books are going to be handled. So one of the biggest benefits of hiring a firm like myself is that longevity and that trust that we'll be here.
Especially when there is investors who tend to hire in-house TCs. Next thing you know, they're out sick or they're out doing something, versus an actual company taking care of them that's not going anywhere. And so I feel you on that. That's very, very, very great way to put into perspective for investors to know there's outside resources. It's good to have a team, but not in the sense of just for yourself. It's for everyone as well.
Well, you think about
Outsourcing.
the breadth of your knowledge because of the fact that you have your own company and you work with various different entrepreneurs in various different ways. Like the things you see is probably drastically higher than whatever that, on staff TC might be seeing. You could probably save the day on a lot of things that a normal YouTube TC may not be able to catch.
Exactly. And so that's why it's such a fresh air hearing that from you, because I want investors to know the realization of, having someone that's personal versus having that outsourced firm. So very, very, very important. And
Yeah,
now,
and a lot of, sorry to interrupt you, a lot of owners who want the in-person thing, one of the things I hear from them is, no, I need somebody in person. Like they will be adamant about that, needing somebody in person. My question is like always, why? Like, is it just a system that might be outdated that we need to fix? Like, just share with me a little bit more about why you feel the need for having somebody in person. You might be right. You really might be right. But let's have a conversation and let's see if that truly is what you need, or if it's just what you feel is necessary, maybe from a control perspective, or maybe the systems are not quite up to speed, or maybe you think that's the only option, or maybe you think it's the cheapest option.
mm,
It actually might not be at the end of the day, especially when they're pulling a bunch of hours trying to do something they don't know how to do. It can be potentially cheaper to have somebody outsourced.
I love it. And so for our listeners who are real estate investors, may just be starting out, maybe they've been in it for a while now. What's one piece of wisdom you would share about managing their finances, or even just about staying motivated on their journey?
Yeah, so my biggest suggestion is, if you haven't already, separate your use of business and personal. So making sure you've got your business bank account, having a very specific designated account that is for your business, and making sure you're not funding things through personal accounts, because this is going to get any mess that I say we can handle. But I'm just saying, like, if you want to keep accounting costs low when you come to me, the best thing to do would be to have it all separate from the get-go. And if you're like, well, Katie, I can't yet fund my mortgage payment because the Airbnb is not up and running, you could transfer your personal funds into the business and then have the business pay the mortgage. Definitely tracking any business spending on a personal card, making sure you're tracking those things in a spreadsheet. That would be super helpful. Commingling is the biggest thing I see that drives cost up and really gives you no valuable value and actually increase your risk as far as like commingling. And we kind of already talked on that earlier. So I'm a big Chase fan. If you're like a gator and you're PML, you're wiring funds everywhere, like you're going to be sending a lot of wires. I love the fact that we don't have to go into a branch to send wires. ACH, Zelle, we can do all that online. They have a great online thing, give you only access to your accountants really easily with multi-entities to have separate logins so that your bank feeds actually go into multiple different accounting files so that you can handle that really seamlessly without it breaking. That's kind of accountant language. Bottom line, just send me a DM if you have a question, and I can chat through that. Yeah, Chase is my number one bank recommendation.
Okay, I'm on the right track then.
Yes.
Looking back at your own path, was there any mentorship or key piece of advice, maybe a community that really helped you get where you are today?
SubTo, the community Pace has built has been because of the relationships, and relationships truly are like rocket ships when you just are around the right people, and ideas are being shared, and it's just a huge catalyst for growth. I love getting around people that are going to expand options and ideas, and if I see it as an example somewhere, it then I can start to bring that into my reality more quickly. So get around the right people, go in person if you haven't been to meetups. That's the biggest way to make this big community feel smaller. um, Start to connect with people in the group podcast, like what Bee's doing. This is amazing. But the more we can get into proximity with like-minded people, the quicker you're going to grow.
This has been so insightful and inspiring. If our listeners want to learn more about you, Armour Bookkeeping, or just connect, what is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, the best way would be Instagram at Armour Bookkeeping, AMOR. And then Armour Bookkeeping is the next best place if you have any needs for a quote. We have a quote form there, comes directly to me. You'll hear back from me on whether or not we're a good fit, and we'll schedule a call.
Amazing. Katie, thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom with us today. It's been truly inspiring to hear about your journey and how you're helping so many in the real estate community.
Thank you so much for having me.
Be the Connection family. If Katie's story resonated with you, or if you've had a light bulb moment, please let us know in the comments. Be sure to share this episode with anyone you think might help or inspire. That's how we all grow together. Thank you again, Katie, for your time and for being such a wonderful connection for our audience. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out, and turn on notifications. We're all about sharing these amazing stories, and we'll see you on the next one.
Amazing. Love it.
Awesome.